They said the stock market will boom if I'm elected. If he's elected, the stock market will crash.
S&P 500 ends at fresh record high as Dow scales 43 for first time.
You were saying?
If Harris wins this election, the result will be a Kamala economic crash, a 1929-style depression.
I've got information, man. New shit has come to light.
Elon Musk says that if Trump wins, he'll cause the economy to crash.
Elon is a great guy. He's one of our geniuses, and we have to protect our geniuses. We have to take care of our geniuses.
According to Dave Ramsey is a financial expert, and Dave the financial expert interviewed Trump about his financial plan for America.
If she got elected, we're going back to 1929 depression.
Deja vu! We work with tens of thousands of small business people. I know small businesses are where jobs come from.
I can only wonder why Dave didn't tell Trump the depression he predicted under Biden did not happen, and ask what evidence he has that Harris will cause a depression.
How can you help small businesses?
Well, the best way is just letting them do what they have to do, but we still have to give them a playing field.
How can you help small businesses?
My plan is to give a $50,000 tax deduction to start up small businesses.
If I was a financial expert, I would have asked Trump what he thought about Harris's 50 grand tax deduction for small businesses, but sadly I'm just a man in a room with a mic and questions.
Subscribe
to
Slam Brigade. Dave's a rare, mega-rich person that truly cares about the plight of the working-class person. But don't take my word for it.
I mean, it seems like everybody is kind of colluding against lower-income people.
Yeah, and it's biblically unsound. I mean, it's a bad idea. You don't want to be on the list of the person who oppresses the poor, the orphan, or the widow. That's not a good list to be on.
Yes.
Because the things that happens to the people that oppress the poor, the orphan, and the widow are not good. You're supposed to take care of the poor, and take care of the widow, and take care of the orphan.
So he wouldn't like or support Donald Trump because he hurts the poor people.
Donald Trump quietly ended a rule intended to protect low-income Americans from predatory high-interest payday loans this week. Democrats and other advocates say that the Trump administration is removing essential protections for vulnerable populations in the midst of a global pandemic and recession.
Here's a fun and upsetting fact. Most borrowers used a loan to cover everyday expenses.
Loan sharking. Mm-hmm. Loan sharking. And that was lending money at high interest rates because it was unfair.
Yeah, and how does payday lending still open at 800% interest?
800?
Yeah, 800% interest. And these are poor people they're leaning on, so this is particularly bad.
Charging people obscene interest when they need everyday items is disgusting, and the fact that Dave agrees shows he has a solid moral foundation.
I'm voting for Donald Trump.
I'm upset, yet intrigued.
Methinks voting for a guy who harms the poor might put Dave on God's naughty list, but luckily Trump's harmful actions have been undone. Anyway, when Dave's not voting for a guy who harms the poor, he dispenses financial wisdom to his loyal followers.
If you don't know what The Ramsey Show is, it's a show about life, about money, about relationships. It's not a show about politics.
See, that explains why he'd vote for Trump. He is an ill-informed dolt.
Our team reached out to Vice President Harris's team and reached out to President Trump's team.
It's not a show about politics.
About the opportunity to sit down for a long-form interview.
I'm confused.
I can't imagine why Dave would want to sit down with two politicians on his non-political show. Much like I can't imagine the reason he didn't mention predatory payday loan companies when talking to Trump about his financial plan.
A most compelling mystery indeed.
A financial plan that Elon Musk says will cause hardship for people who are not billionaires. Now Dave will explain how he feels about Social Security and then some of his awesome advice directly to some poor people.
When you die with Social Security, nothing! That's what you get. If you run the numbers out on your Social Security, folks, you will discover it's about a negative 4% rate of return in your life.
Are there other benefits that pensioners do get that might offset some of that loss?
Excellent question, sir.
I'm 58 years old. If you never made me pay again, you could keep everything that I paid to this point. I've been paying into it almost 40 years. You could keep all that. I'll still come out ahead in the next 20 years.
Yeah, duh.
I have a net worth of several $100 million. Not putting money in the stupid thing. Just putting that amount of money, the amount of money you robbed from me in my check for this broken, screwed up mathematical disaster.
If there was no Social Security, is it possible some people might invest and lose all their money, or gamble it all away, or just be robbed in some other way? Can we really trust every person to make sure they invest wisely so they have a retirement fund?
You're asking a lot of questions.
I could take the amount of money I'm going to pay in where you're ripping me off, put that in a mutual fund, and I would have more income than I will have having paid in and gave up the whole 40 years. You guys can just keep that because your program's so freaking awesome.
Am I sensing some sarcasm?
It sucks that bad. Only the federal government could talk you people into doing this and you just like a bunch of sheep. Yeah, let's just take it out of my check.
That sounds more like a cow to me, but you are a sheep also, Dave.
I've been paying into it almost 40 years. What a crock. The whole thing is a disaster.
No, not really.
Now you know how the mega rich guy feels about Social Security that he'll never need.
I'm 70 years old. My husband and I, neither one have a retirement. We have $2,000 a month Social Security.
Disaster.
The main thing we do is we eat out, and that's not a lot.
You can't eat out. You're broke. Eating out is causing you to clean toilets.
You think these two spend $2,000 a month eating out?
Are you serious?
You've got to get a roadster sold, you got to get your car paid off, and you got to get your house paid off.
Obviously.
And you got $25,000 in a roadster to pull all this off, and a $2,000 income that's questionable because we don't know how much longer you can do this at 70 years old.
So the expert financial advice is stop eating out, sell one of the 3 cars to pay off the other car, and then parrot back what she already told you. But there's more obvious advice this woman definitely doesn't need Dave to tell her because it's obvious.
Otherwise, you're going to end up selling this house and buying a condo for $100,000 and have a $100,000 slush fund to live on.
Did you notice that Dave did not rant about the Social Security that she desperately needs?
Yes, yes I did.
I'm sure Dave would agree people need to be educated financially from a young age so we can all plan to do better. But unfortunately, some people rely on Social Security, and having $200 million and calling it a disastrous system that's robbing people when if it was up to the party he's voting for would scrap the whole thing entirely.
Congressional Republicans are demanding these reckless cuts in order to make room for another $5.5 trillion in tax cuts skewed to the wealthy and big corporations.
I'm voting for Donald Trump.
Yes, that makes sense. My dad, too, passed away when I was 19. I had a little Social Security survivor benefit, protected my family.
You don't want to be on the list of the person who oppresses the orphan or the widow.
Donald Trump's proposals will bust Social Security. And
My mom being able to access my dad's Social Security.
It sucks that bad.
I guess Donald Trump doesn't care if he gets a Social Security check. My 90-year-old mom does. She needs it.
Oh, your grandmother's going to starve and it's going to be all your party's fault.
Like the bloody video.